Hey, what up, guys? So, I want to come to you with the next award. I went and saw a movie and decided I want to do this some more. So, I'm coming with an award that I had forgot about from last year, actually. Because first off, I should be going over the awards from last year just to touch base on the ones I did earlier. So, for upset of the year 2 years ago, or actually, no, in 2017, upset of the year that year was Caleb Truax's 12 round majority decision over James DeGale for the super middleweight title. Well, DeGale got the rematch and barely beat Truax. So Truax proved that he was better than just a one hit wonder. That James DeGale, when they rematched in April, had to work his ass off to beat Truax. So that was the upset of the year, and I didn't mention that when I posted before. And then the what was the other award we did? Let me see. I believe it was, the most controversial decision of 2017 was Jeff Horn's 12 round unanimous decision over Manny Pacquiao. Well, Jeff Horn got his ass whipped in his first defense. I don't know if I would call him a one hit wonder just yet. We'll see how he does at 154 or 160. I don't think he's much more than a one hit wonder. Terrence Crawford whipped his ass and took the title from him. And Pacquiao's back to his winning ways. So that one didn't really do much, but that was a bad decision. And, that was the one from 2017. Just wanted to recreate that for you. And then this award I'm doing now is the best performance in defeat from 2018. These are the guys that go out and fight their ass off and lose. And I wanted to focus on the guys that actually lost the fight, either convincingly or they actually lost. Not the guys that got robbed so much, because we know they got robbed. And I already did most controversial. So I really wanted to focus on the guys that actually lost. And, it could have been a close fight, could have been they lost by knockout, but it was the performance in your defeat which defined it. So now my from 2017, it was Vladimir Klitschko's what was his 11th round TKO loss to Anthony Joshua in that just classic heavyweight fight. Great fucking fight. Klitschko went out on his shield, and it was fantastic. Klitschko retired. He decided not to come back and retired. Even though there's talks of him possibly coming back again, which I hope he does. Klitschko would really make things interesting. But Anthony Joshua went on to become number one heavyweight in the world, and that's what happened with that. So now let's take a look at this past year's 2018's best performances in defeat. I'm going to go by division first, and then I'll do my top five finalists. So by division, at 122 super bantamweight, I gave it to Azat Havanassian for his unanimous decision loss to Ray Vargas. You may not remember this, but Vargas is a pretty good prospect, even though he's a world champion. He's kind of a guy that Golden Boy is really bringing out, and he's an all-action fighter. The guy throws a million punches, and he's my height. He's like 5'11" for a 122 pounder. That's crazy. And he throws a shitload of punches. He went in against Havanassian, who's a Turkish contender, and Havanassian fought him on just 2 months, basically 2 months after scoring a huge upset over Ronnie Rios. And Havanassian pushed Vargas to the limit. I mean, Vargas, a lot of people thought he was just going to blow him out, and Havanassian pushed his ass to the limit. It was a great performance out of Havanassian. It's made him a top 10 guy now for sure, locked in. And the guy was just tough as nails. He kept coming. He wouldn't go down, and Vargas had to throw a ton of fucking punches just to win the fight, and he got the decision. I think it was a right decision. It should have went to Vargas, but Havanassian put him through hell. Vargas missed the rest of the year with injuries from that fight. He had to have surgery. So great performance out of him and going for a world title. That was a pretty good, damn good performance. 126 featherweight, I gave that to Abner Modis for his unanimous decision loss to Leo Santa Cruz in their big rematch in June. I really thought Modis was going to put up a better fight than the first fight from 2015, but Leo Santa Cruz just proved that he's just too tall and too long, and he outworked Modis in this one. Modis came and did the best he could, but Santa Cruz was just too much, and but Modis refused to go down. I actually thought if Santa Cruz fought him the way he fought the second half of the first fight back in 2015, that he was going to knock Modis out. And Modis would not go down. He didn't even seem like he got hurt or overwhelmed. He just seemed like he got outworked against Santa Cruz. And that was impressive. So got to give it to Mares. He went out. Santa Cruz is just better. That's all it is. He's bigger. He's longer. He's better. So that was 126 at 130, which is super featherweight. I gave this one to Mickey Roman for his ninth round TKO loss to Miguel Berchelt. Berchelt coming into the fight was the number one fighter at 130. He was. He's badass. The guy, really good Mexican fighter, but can also box. And I really thought he was going to box Roman and dominate Roman, to tell you the truth. Even though Roman was a number one contender and knocked out Orlando Salido last year, I didn't think Roman was really going to put up a fight. And man, for the first 4 or 5 rounds, he was all over Berchelt. It was a great toe-to-toe fight. They went back and forth. And, Berchelt ended up taking over and using his skill and his accurate body punching and his power, but he really had to work for this one and stop Roman. And Roman really put it was his first title shot. The guy's a veteran, and he would not let himself look like just just a tomato can in there against this guy. He fought his ass off in a good performance. So that was the best at 130. The best performance in defeat at 140 pounds, which is junior welterweight. I gave that to Victor Postal for his unanimous decision loss to Josh Taylor. Taylor was an undefeated and, fighting at home in Scotland. Postal said, fuck it, I'm going over there to fight because he wanted somebody to fight him. And he proved he's still a top fighter in this division by going over there, because it's been pretty much 2 years since he fought Crawford. He only fought once in that time frame, and he's got that kind of style that a lot of guys want to stay away from. He's tall, he throws a lot of punches, and he can take a punch. And he went in there against Taylor and fought his ass off. He got, the scorecards don't reflect the fight, and he fought his ass off, and he went down late in the fight, but got up, finished the fight, fought hard. And, he's an alternate in the World Boxing Super Series because of his performance against Taylor. So he really proved that he's still game and legit, and that's the best at 140. The best performance in defeat at welterweight, which is, the number one division right now. It sucks that this didn't make it as a finalist, but there's so many good fights. But this one goes to Danny Garcia for his 12-round unanimous decision loss to Sean Porter. It sucks I can't give Danny a top 5 spot, because Danny went out there. I knew this fight was going to be close. I predicted it to be close. I called it either way. Danny was the A side of this fight, and he fought his ass off. I really was impressed with the way he fought Porter and did not let Porter take over the fight. Porter just outworked him by a little bit. It was very close, very good, very solid performance. And you really got to hand it to Danny. He fought his ass off. So, good performance. He keeps himself in the top 5 right there with that. And, just impressive. The guy has proven that he's very, very good. Okay, so the best at 168 now, super middleweight, was Jesse Hart for his 12-round majority decision loss to Gilberto Ramirez in their rematch. These guys fought in September of 2017. It was a great fight. Hart went down in the 4th round. He came on strong in the second half of the fight, hurt Ramirez a couple times. Ramirez won a very close unanimous decision in their first fight. And Jesse Hart scored 3 knockouts between that fight and getting Ramirez back in the ring, and he finally got his rematch in December. So 15 months later, they fight again, and this time very close again. This time he would not go down. He fought his ass off and went to the cards again, and he lost a very close majority decision. Tough fight to call right there. And, he really showed that he's in it, and it's just a shame that, in the rematch he couldn't get the win. But he proved he's a top 10 guy, and just keep banging, man. Because I really felt for Jesse Hart. Top rank is hard enough to fight for those guys in certain weight classes because the PBC controls things. And at 168, there's not a lot of options unless it's overseas and stuff. And he fought as hard as he could, but it's just tough to. Gilberto Ramirez throws a shitload of punches, so he fought his ass off. It was a good performance for Jesse Hart. And then the last non-finalist is at cruiserweight, 200 pounds, which is Maris Bradis. His 12-round majority decision loss to Alexander Usyk in their unification bout back in January, which was also the semifinals of the World Boxing Super Series. Man, this guy went out and just, I thought Usyk was going to dominate the action and beat him. He fought in Latvia, which is where he's from, Bradis, and he was the hometown guy, and he went out and really won most of the first half of the fight. And in the second half of the fight, Usyk came back, but it was so tight and such a good fight. And then you saw how good Usyk was. He dominated Gassiev, shut him out in the finals, and then he destroyed Tony Bellew. Knocked him out in 8 rounds. And Maris Bradis, to tell you the truth, he would have been a top 5 finalist because of this performance in itself. He's the only guy to give Usyk, who's one of the pound for pound best fighters, a good fight back in January in a close fight. And Usyk barely beat him. And, that was the semifinals of World Boxing Super Series. To tell you the truth, if he didn't go out and lay an egg and get a lucky decision in his favor in the World Boxing Super Series Season 2, which started back in November, in a fight that he should have lost against McAllion, I probably would have put this fight higher, but, I couldn't put him in as a finalist because of what he did after. But, man, that was a damn good fight the first time around. Barely lost to Usyk, and you see how good Usyk is. So this guy really went in there and competed and put his balls on the table, and got to give him some props. But now we're going to break into the top 5, the finalists. Number 5 was the best at 154, and that's Erislandy Lara's 12-round split decision loss to Jarrett Hurd. Man, Lara went in there. He's the older of the two, and, he was the number 1 at the time. This was truly to determine number 1 in the unified belts, and he fought his ass off. He really fought his ass off against a bigger guy. He boxed well. He went toe-to-toe with Hurd, and if it wouldn't have been a knockdown in the 12th, he'd still probably be considered the number 1, super welterweight, 154 pounder in the world. And just that knockdown going down, but to get back up and to fight his way to the end, you got to hand it to him. I mean, the guy is just consummate pro, great fighter, and he really fought his ass off in that one against Hurd, so he deserves some credit. My number 4 was Adonis Stevenson's 11th round knockout loss to Alexander Volchik. I'm not just giving it to him because of what happened to him being put in a coma. If you looked at the emotion of the fight, it was huge. I really thought Volchik was going to whip Stevenson's ass from start to finish because Stevenson's 41 going in against a hungry, undefeated Ukrainian fighter who these Ukrainians are taking over. And it was a good fight. It was a good fight. 6-7 rounds through and then towards the middle rounds, Volchik really took over the fight. But you saw the judging. Some of the I think one of the judges had it even, and I had it close. I think I had it 6-4 going into the 11th. But in the 10th round is what swung it for me, because it's not like Volchik just wore him down and beat his ass to that knockout. Stevenson almost knocked Volchik out in the 10th. He hit him with 2 big punches and almost put Volchik down, and very easily could have swung that fight with that win. And for him to perform that well that late in the fight at his age, it was just impressive, and then you saw the result. He ended up getting knocked out. But, Stevenson, a guy who avoided the bigger fights for most of the past 4 or 5 years, he really proved that he was a top guy going out on his shield and what's probably going to be his last fight. So he's a finalist for me. It was the best performance in defeat at light heavyweight, and it was the number 4 of this year. Number 3, I'm going with Luis Ortiz's 10th round knockout loss to Deontay Wilder. Man, this was a fucking great fight. Ortiz went out there and just he was winning the fight, and then Wilder knocked him down, and it looked like that was it. And then Wilder got hurt, and he almost knocked out Wilder, and it seemed like he was taking over the fight in those later rounds, and then Wilder caught him, and really I think what knocked Ortiz out wasn't so much Wilder's power, it was Ortiz's lack of being active. The guy's an older fighter, and he hadn't been active. Nobody wanted to fight him. He's the boogeyman of the division, and this was, I think he had only fought 2 rounds in the past 13, 14 months. And, he really had not had to go the distance. And I think that really affected him. And I think now, after fighting 3 times this past year and getting a good amount of rounds in, I think if they rematch, it could be a different story. But Ortiz fought his ass off. It was a great fight, back and forth fight. And between Klitschko and Joshua last year, and Wilder and this one this year, and then Wilder and Fury, the heavyweight division is back with a storm. And at 39, I just hope somebody gives him another chance because Ortiz is a badass fighter. He's a good boxer too, and he proved that by being ahead on the cards against Wilder. So, really got to hand it to him. Number two um, is Jorge Linares. His 10th round TKO loss to Vasily Lomachenko. To be honest, Linares is a great fighter, 3 division world champion, veteran. But I really thought Lomachenko was going to dominate Linares in this fight, and it just didn't happen. This fight was close as shit. And then Linares knocked him down in the 6th round, knocked down Lomachenko. This guy's the pound for pound best. And if you saw the scorecards going into the 10th round, this fight was dead even. It was close as hell. And if he makes it to the 12th, who knows? It's going to be a tight fight against the pound for pound best fighter. And it was a body shot that took him down. Lomachenko was hurt, had to dig deep. He landed a money shot that just put Linares down hard. But Linares really made that a great, great fight. It was one of the best of the year. And to go in there and lose to the pound for pound best fighter on a body shot in a fight that if it goes to the cards, he might win. Just an impressive performance. And, to tell you the truth, some of these other guys, you gave them a little bit of a chance. I think Linares, out of the top 5, had maybe the least best chance of winning that fight going in, according to what the critics were saying. So you really got to hand it to him. Great performance. Really big fan of Linares for how he did against Lomachenko. And then finally, the number one, the best performance in defeat. It's hard not to give it to Triple G, Gennady Golovkin, for his 12-round majority decision loss to Canelo Alvarez. Triple G's the man. At his age, too, at 36, to be in there against a guy in his prime in a fight that could have went either way. You could have given it to him. Great, great fight. He outlanded Canelo, and he just fought like a true champion. It was his first official career defeat. Fought like a champion, worked his ass off. And you got to hand it to him. He really put on a great performance, and to me, that says a lot. And considering the magnitude of the fight, how big the fight was, you got to say Triple G in this one. Triple G going down, losing to Canelo in a tight ass fight, the best performance in defeat this year. Got to give it to him, and I hope we see number 3 next year. So that's it, guys. I will be back maybe tonight, more likely tomorrow, with the knockout of the year and keep you guys in suspense. And I hope you like this. So I'll talk to you later. All right, bye.